kind of had the childhood dream growing up throughout elementary school. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and I think that kind of came from this almost innate interest just in the lives of other people and taking an interest in other people and doing what I could to help them. The second year, looking back now on things, is probably when I began to develop symptoms but didn't really have an appreciation for it. I would say halfway through my second year. Just subtle things that were easy to write off, just feeling more tired than usual. You know, but it's a busy and it's a hectic time. You're at the end of your second year, you're beginning to study for a licensing exam. As I began the transition to my third year of medical school, where you really start getting into hospitals more and the clinics and you're seeing more patients, that was where I began to notice more symptoms. I noticed I was getting a little more sick, but had been through pediatrics and was just figured I'd pick something up while I was, seeing some of those kids and stuff that were sick. And so, didn't think much about the extra colds and things I was picking up until I noticed that there were a couple lymph nodes in my neck that swelled up a little bit, and they seemed to kind of hang around. And that's when things became a little more worrisome to me. I really began to see myself almost in the cases that they used to train us with. And that's when the concern that maybe this is a cancer really became real for the first time. It was something that I think for a while was easy to deny and not want to think about, and it was easy to write it off as I've been busy with school and I'm tired because of this and I'm losing weight because I'm not eating as well. I think that was the first real moment where it was real all of a sudden, and it was hard to deny anymore, especially with the lymph nodes in my neck and above my collarbone. The chest x-ray was kind of what started really the proverbial ball rolling at that point. There was a pretty large, what they call a mediastinal mass that they couldn't measure real well on the chest x-ray, but it was very obvious. She called me directly and said, "You need to go see an oncologist this afternoon." It was kind of one of those moments where anytime they say you need to go see an oncologist, you know something's not right. The PET scan and the CT scan happened right away, and that told us that I had a mass that was just about 13 centimeters, kind of sitting right next to my heart. It took a few days after they were able to get the lymph node to get the pathology reports back that told us that this was indeed a lymphoma. My case, I think, was just a little different, not so much because of my age, but more because of the size of the mass that I had had, and that extra little lesion that I'd had kind of out in my lung as well. And nobody could give a good explanation for the size. Could it have been that, some of my denial maybe played into that a little bit, and I pushed things off and let symptoms go a little longer than, somebody might normally? It could have been. It could have been some of the fact that I wrote it off so much to just, being in school and being busy. When I was originally diagnosed was back in October of 2007. I was 24 at the time. I had to take this extra year off, essentially, to go through my chemo treatment, my radiation, and give myself a couple months to get back to the point where I could go back to my training again. So that ended up being an extra year of loan money that I wouldn't normally have had. It allowed me to take some electives and some courses to maintain my student status. And by doing that, I was able to continue to receive kind of my federal loan money. So that's what I used to kind of live off of. It wasn't until I started to get into treatments a little more, and I think some of the bills, the larger bills, really started to come through, that I noticed that there was some difficulties that would come from the insurance company. You're feeling sick from the medicines, but now you're getting these denial claims that are coming in, and you're having to try and call the insurance company. I knew that I'd be turning 25 in April, and I wouldn't be done with my chemo treatments yet at that point. So that is where I kind of became stuck. I knew I was going to be turning 25. The plan I was currently on was saying, we're not going to cover you after 25, and the plan that I had intentions to switch to said, well, we're not going to cover you for a full year because of this pre-existing condition. And from the previous months of kind of adding up the bills and things like that, I knew that was quickly going to run tens of thousands of dollars. The stack is from 8 months of office visits. The next folder is really the second kind of biggest folder, and it's the hospital fees. This folder here was for the pathologist. This folder was from one of the specialists. I enrolled in January of 2009. The school's insurance plan would only cover me for 12 months to see my oncologist. So it became another weighing of the better of two evils again. It was an issue of, do I continue to follow up with my doctor under my school's plan, or do I kind of hold off on seeing him and some of the basic follow-up that I would normally receive until I felt like maybe I was getting ill again? I'm afraid that if my disease were to come back again, I need all 12 of those months because I couldn't afford it. You just wonder a little more because you are on kind of this heightened sense of, is this coming back? Could this be something else? So I think maybe in some senses, a little bit of that reassurance is lost by not having regular routine follow-up. I think that's kind of one of the universal ideas behind doctors and why people go into medicine, is this innate desire to help others and produce some positive change within their lives. And I think that's kind of the foundation we all start from. And as these insurance issues arise and you have concerns that maybe people aren't receiving the care that they would because of costs or because of insurance complications, from a physician standpoint, it would be frustrating. It requires you to become more creative and maybe do some things that you typically wouldn't have done.